So just a quick comment. Hi, I hope you're well. Just give me a few minutes. I'm transitioning from a different meeting. I should be joining you in the next 3 minutes. Sorry for that. I should be joining you shortly. Thanks.
Hello.
Moses, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I wasn't getting anything. I thought it was my phone.
No, because Dr. Piri's mic is off, so we can't get anything.
Yeah, I think maybe he hasn't noticed that the mic is off.
Yeah, could be. Now how do you inform me? Okay, let me do this. But I'm sure he can get what we are saying.
You guys wait for him. He's transitioning from another meeting to to our meeting. So he said he'll get back in the next
Oh,
3 minutes. Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
know,
you
man.
would have told us why we're not getting anything. So we thought maybe it
Relax.
has
Wait.
been.
You came late, so relax.
Working, Zimulifia winner bosses.
If you're not, you should go see.
If we're not sure, we can bang and the continue zero.
Eh, to because I'm saying was one story very open now.
Let them be exam online, what our next zone.
That's the old why.
Iwe Moses
Guys.
Hello.
Iwe Moses ngongode letu.
Congo, they were always mother. Nilibe kongole yako ini.
Moses.
Hello.
You guys, we need to convince item to extend the deadline.
Yeah, this is the reason why we requested for the meeting. So those views should be shared on his presence.
Then what's happening with Mr. Warrior?
Mr. Walia, he has been sick.
Oh.
So yes, so he was just when I called him today, he was saying he was requesting if at all we can have a makeup class tomorrow.
Have you guys had any lecture with him? Huh?
Yes, we've been meeting with him.
You've had how many so far?
I think should be 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken.
Did you happen to record any?
It's 3, I think.
It's 3, aye.
Working smash take a record, guys. You don't do right.
Sorry.
Does he post his notes as well?
No, he hasn't. From the time that we have been learning, he hasn't posted. If you remember, there was a time that we requested for the slides. So he was saying he's going to post them, then we'll download them from there on Moodle.
But what did he start with? Is it the same things that is it database and?
Yes, he started with the database.
So he started from.
I always been the attendance for Mr. Warrior's lecture.
Just compared to this class, because we are 11 in this meeting.
Now Moses, did he start from the beginning, or maybe he just talked about some random things in there?
No, he started from the beginning. Those notes that you saw.
So you mean are you done with database?
No, we are still looking at database.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, Razona.
Slim, uliko?
Moses. Good morning.
Uchemushe boy.
Like that.
Chawama, muli quiet maningi nowadays ncha.
Kay bando hivi bando kudi.
Smart things.
Where is lecture?
We have been told that it's still
Azakupezekeza.
We have been told that he's still
Hi,
in the process.
I'm back. Sorry, took a while there. I had another class that I was attending. All right, so I decided that we needed to have this conversation. I hope you're well, by the way. I decided we need to have this conversation because, well, so the proposal, right? The proposal document, the proposal presentation slides are all due on the 26th of June, right? So that's in 2 weeks' time. And so I figured it would be fair for us to have this interaction in the event that people have specific questions with regards to the proposal. I thought, right, when I shared those screencasts, I thought I actually focused on all the key elements that you need for you to work through the proposal. Now, if you have not started working through the proposal, I would start doing this now, right? Because it turns out that that piece of document requires quite a bit of effort to put together. What we decided to do as a strategy that we thought would help you was we were implicitly forcing you to generate artifacts that are supposed to feed into the proposal. Risk management artifacts. I think that's one of the most recent assignments. For instance, the timeline, RESI metrics, all of those things are supposed to feed into the proposal. Now, if you go through the specification of the proposal, you'll notice that all those things are actually clearly laid out, right? I don't think we should sit here and talk about this unless if people still think, oh, the grammar, right? What the hell is that? Where is that coming from? What grammar are you talking about? So this part, the project proposal part is what I'm referring to here. Yeah? If you remember those small little piecewise assignments that we are sending through, even though there are no marks allocated to those, or you lose marks if you didn't submit that though, the idea was to force you to work towards certain components of the proposal. And I think we've probably succeeded at doing that to a certain extent, right? Because the assumption is that all the groups have so far, at the very least, you've so far managed to work towards everything but the risk management component. In an ideal case, what we expect people to do, the respective groups here, is to produce something similar to this. Now, this exemplar document has been shared with you. Does not have to be exactly the way this document appears, but it must be similar to this. Incidentally, this document here is based on the SEM template, right? Template. But anyways, so let me just go back to my thing here. Just the preamble of what I was going to talk to. I think it's best if I go through my slides, just I veer off. All right, so the interaction, I thought I'd just give you a sneak, I guess an overview of what we've covered in the most recent batch of lecture screencasts, which sadly, right, only a few individuals have bothered to go through. Very, very sad. What exactly are you going to write about when the time comes for you to write the exam? Now, wait a minute. What are you going to write about when the time comes for you to write the test? There are going to be a total of 2 tests, right? And the tests are going to be based on the content we are writing here. If they, and I think they've given a go-ahead, I think we can administer tests online. If we say we're scheduling a test, let's say hypothetically speaking, we're scheduling a test that's going to be based on all the different, the content that we've covered so far for July. What are you going to be doing if you're not one of those people, one of the 9 people so far on average? I guess last batch of screencasts only had 9 people watch the screencasts. If you're not part of those people, what are you going to write about? You don't have to answer me. This is something you should think about before you sleep, right? If you perform poorly in the test, the odds of you not passing this course drastically increase. Because to be honest with you, at the pace we are moving here, only a few groups are probably going to be in a position where they get a good mark from this part of the course assessment where you're working as a pack. The other things, I mean, are going to have to be done in isolation, right? You write the test alone, and the test is going to be based on the content that we're covering. I sort of mentioned that anyway. So Right, so something else I thought I'll talk about is just briefly go through the assignments, right? There's two main assignments that have been shared. And then I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have questions. I hope you can see my screen, by the way. Can you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, sir Hawkins. Right, and then there's not really much to talk about for the next, the upcoming lecture series, but I've decided we're going to cover requirements engineering because the idea was to cover some of these things based on the assumption that certain aspects of 3010, for instance, would already been covered, but I don't think that has been done yet. So we've had to shuffle the order of the topics again. So we are going to requirements engineering, and then we've pushed configuration management to, it's likely going to be maybe towards the end of this term, whatever that means, like term one, or maybe at the beginning of next term, right? So we're going to do requirements engineering, and then we're going to look at UML modeling, and then we look at system design, and then we should be done with content for term number one. But anyways, so in terms of the most recent screencast or lecture series, for those of you that have not bothered to look at it, essentially it was split up into three main parts. The first part was just a walkthrough of the key elements that we expect to find in the proposal. Now, this is important because if you look at the assignment itself, the content, the elements of the proposal alone account for 60% of the marks. I don't know if people have bothered to look at that, right? Yeah, so 60% is allocated towards the 60% of the proposal mark. Once this thing is graded, 60% is going to go towards the content, right? So the content is associated with the elements of the proposal. Everything from the title all the way up to those project management items that we expect to find in the appendices section, right? And really, this is really straightforward. I guess maybe the only part that was new, the only part that perhaps was not introduced to us in 2034 was the part where we discussed description of the proposed solution. It's supposed to be a high-level description of the proposed solution. So we expect you to explain a bit more about what this solution, what sort of shape and form it's expected to take. Remember, this is a proposal. One of the reasons why you write a proposal document is so that people can comment on it and identify fundamental flaws associated with your piece of writing. In industry, a proposal would be a response to a bid. If you remember our discussion of lecture series number, was that number 2 or something? It must have been number 2. This would be a response to a bid, right? So you write a proposal so that you bid against other people that might be in a position to offer the same type of service. And I did mention in the screencast that in as much as our proposal is really more of a research-oriented proposal, there are only a few minor changes that you'd need to make to convert it into an industry-wide proposal, right? In certain instances, what we are going through, what we're going to have to develop would be linked to what's called a project charter also, right? That's besides the point. So key elements, really the project title, description, problem statement, key related work, existing work that is related to what you're doing. This will appear under the related work section. And then you have your, this will be like your proposed solution where you explain the methodology you're going to take, details, the brief description of the solution itself, like I said, to a certain extent, anticipated outcomes. Easy stuff, right? Easy stuff, but it turns out that it requires quite a bit of effort to put in. It's not something that you can put together in one weekend. You will not. You will probably get a 1 or something, right? And then something else that you want to pay particular attention to, right, is the project proposal format. It turns out that we said we've adopted the Association for Computing Machinery CCOF template, right? So this is a template that is usually used to produce papers submitted to certain conferences out there. Very basic template, right? Easy actually. If I can find it. I do find it. And the thing is, the way this thing looks at, like, really something similar to what you're seeing here. Double columns, and then that's it. I mean, if you download the template and you actually start, as I recommended the screencast, if you download the template and you actually start making your changes using the downloaded template, it should be fine. Because all you'd be doing is just replacing, obviously you come up with appropriate headings here, and then you start just slotting in content into the template itself. Right? You want to make sure you follow through with the template. This template has certain specific things associated with it, things like font faces to use, typeface that you're using, right? I hope the typeface that you're using, the sizes of these typefaces, right? So level 1 headings are supposed to use a certain font size. If you notice, if you look at this sample here, the level 1 headings are all uppercase, right? So if you use a template, you'll be able to follow through with this. But even more important, right, tied to this template here is the fact that the reference and citation style must follow SCM referencing style, meaning that the citations must be numbers in square brackets. I don't know if you can see this here, but citation, so forget upper, right? Forget Harvard referencing. I don't know what else you're being taught to do in these other minor courses you're doing. The referencing style we're following here is a style that is normally used in technical writing associated with computing. It's usually SCM IEEE, right? So the things that I'm specifically making reference to are these things here. This is the citation format we are following. This is citation format we are following. And it turns out that things like the reference style, so this is citation style, right? If you're citing multiple things, notice this, comma separated reference numbers or in square brackets. But the other thing to note here is that the reference style is supposed to be done in a systematic way. So if you're referencing a journal, for instance, it's different from when you're referencing a conference paper or a technical report or a web resource. All these things are in the screencast. And I also did mention that a technique I recommend in the screencast that you must use a bibliographic manager. There's a whole ton of bibliographic managers for you that have been following through. It's a thing, right? How many of you have identified the bibliographic manager to use as a group? Hawkins, what bibliographic manager are you going to use as a group?
We haven't yet decided, sir.
Have you read that? Have you read the notes? Ah, okay. Yes. When are we going to do this? It's after next week, right? After next week is due. It's here. Do you understand the implications of what's happening here? If you haven't started doing that yet, when are you going to do the writing? Now, so the writing is here's the thing, Hawkins, right? Sorry to cut you short, but this writing I'm talking about, it says the limit is 8 pages, but the font size used here, the font size used in this template, by the way, is 10. Right? So what this means is essentially a piece of writing can go beyond the 8 pages. And even when still, this is double column, something that the content that you have here is going to be slightly more than a single column document. If you haven't started writing, I'm sorry to have to tell you that you are behind, and you might not actually end up submitting a well put together document, which of course I'm sure you've already put 2 and 2 together here, directly means that you're likely to get a very low score. And the implications to that, right? I mean, we're not toddlers here. If you get a bad score, the odds of you failing this course are quite high. Because if you look at where you're getting the most marks here, the assessment where you should aim to get the most marks is something that you have control over. That's a project. This is like a take-home exam. The test, I don't think so, right? Unless if you're really seriously reading. The exam, I don't think so. For a year-long course, it might really be difficult for you to get good marks. But if you haven't started this, I do hope you start going through this, because it turns out that this thing has so many different moving parts. Related work alone should take you about a week, right, to do. Why? Because you need to read. What do you mean put in your related work section if you haven't tried yet, if you haven't started yet? But sorry to cut you short, Hawkins. You're about to say something. What's your comment?
My comment is the problem, sir, is bandwidth, sir.
What?
That's the main issue.
The problem is what?
Bandwidth, as in meeting up with everyone, we decide on what to come up with. That's the main issue.
No, you're lying now. When
lying.
you're
I
interacting
like
with someone,
meeting
let's
up
be
with
honest, Hawkins. Pause for you, maybe not, but Slack is fundamentally text-based, right? You're exchanging text here. Have you forgotten our? I'm sorry about that. Have you forgotten our discussion of data compression and data transmission? We're working with text when you're interacting with people via Slack. So I'm wondering where this bundles or bandwidth thing is coming from here. Okay. Anyway, any comments from the others? Slim, where is this Slim? I almost didn't let this Slim character in here because I don't know any Slim, right? You're supposed to be logging in with your UNZA ID. Slim, how is your group coming along? Have you started writing the report? How far have you gone?
Actually, we've started, but we're still working on it.
Who are you, by the way? Sorry, I can't make out your voice.
I'm Victor.
Okay, yeah, you've started, but you haven't what?
I haven't put everything together like that, so we're still working on the assignment 13, and then we're going to get back to the document, I guess.
Oh, okay. Good luck with that. I mean, it's now I've written these documents before, but looking at the time, if you haven't started writing, if you're doing this for the first time, you are learning a whole bunch of things, right? You have to teach yourself how to really write a good enough related work section, although you did this in 2034 as well, but really how to look for appropriate literature for a technically inclined proposal such as this one, right? You have to teach yourself how to use a bibliographic manager, unless if you're going to manually write down that thing, in which case you are drastically increasing the odds of getting a low score here because the styling and formatting accounts for 10%. If you use a bibliographic manager, it's likely that you get all the 10 marks, by the way. All of them, because you have control over the style. You're automating this, and I showcased how to do this, right? What I mean here is, I don't know if did you do this in 2034? Bibliographic managers? Did you?
No, we didn't do that.
Yeah, well, you are the person who keeps on talking about grammar models. You're probably lying about bibliographic managers. You probably did, and you skip class. You like skipping class, right? What I mean here is that if you use a bibliographic manager, you don't have to worry about. This is just a simple example. You don't have to worry about citation styles because you have control. How do you have control? Well, all you have to do is you compile your resources. Boom. I use Mendeley myself. You compile your resources, and I'm just going to scroll down to hopefully go to some. Oh my goodness, got some piece of writing. Okay, great. So you compile your bibliography, right? So as a group, you identify things that you think you're going to include into your related work section. You put them in your bibliographic manager. Let's say this is it. And then what you do next? You start writing. You start assembling the document. When you start assembling the document, as you're writing the document, somewhere in your related work section, whether you like it or not, you shall cite related work, right? Because there are marks allocated to that. As you are citing related work, for you to have control over the format of this style, when you use a reference manager, a bibliographic manager, it becomes a lot easier, right? Point and click. Friends, point and click. Point and click. That way you get all the marks that you need or that are associated with this citation style. If you don't do this, what you need to do is you need to start manually formatting these things, handcrafting them. Handcrafting is error prone. Handcrafting will result in you including things that are not being cited in the document, which is wrong. Do you understand this? Now, if you haven't started doing anything, when are you going to teach yourself how to use a reference manager such as Mendeley, Zotero, Jabrev? or RefWorks, or whatever it is you've decided to set off as a group. If you haven't, as a group, decided which reference manager you're going to do, when are you going to do that? When are you going to teach yourselves how to use that tool? Well, I have a response to that. The question is, I don't know, right? Anyway, I hope you're thinking about these things. But so besides the proposal format, what we also did was we went through this lengthy discussion where we gave you pointers on how to properly come up with those slides. If you notice, the assignment number, was that 14 or 15 or something, is to do with the proposal presentation. So on the 26th of June, which is a Friday, by 23:59 GMT plus 2, on the, I guess, the 59 seconds or something, the 59 second and the 999th millisecond, I guess, you are expected to submit the presentation slides. Now, if we say we have about, roughly we just have 2 weeks here. If you have 2 weeks and you haven't even started working through the proposal presentation slides, the proposal document, if you haven't started reading up on related work that you're going to include into your related work section, when are you going to do this? This is a question that you should ask yourself before you sleep today, because you have no time left, right? Anyway, so we went through a thorough process where we really gave you pointers on how to come up with appropriate content for your presentation slides. If you go through the assignment, what you will realize is that you will be given 10 minutes as a group, and the expectation is that all the group members will participate in the presentation. Now, we haven't yet come up with a plan on how this is going to be done. It will be done, by the way. Even if it means being online, it will be done, right? And there are marks allocated to this. You better take this seriously, right? So we gave you guidelines on how to properly come up with your presentation slides. Hopefully, you guys have now figured out why it is that Lighton normally formats his presentation slides in a certain way. Trivial little things like page numbers in your slides, more visuals as opposed to text, right? I hope you are following through these and you're able to put different things together here, 2 and 2 together. And also gave you pointers, I think as part of the supplementary materials, I've given you links to external resources that you can reference. There's a really nice talk by Professor Winston, great talk on how to give an effective talk, a presentation, right? I would watch that if I were you. But what would be important for you guys is as you prepare for the presentation itself, which is probably going to be sometime in July, by the way. As you prepare for that, you want to make sure that you rehearse. We emphasize the importance of rehearsing. If it was a face-to-face interaction, you would do things like going to the venue to just go and have a feel of how the venue is like. I normally do this myself when I attend these conferences. A day before the event, a day before I give the talk, I'll go to the venue because I normally find myself in places where I've never been before, right? So I'll go to the venue so that I have a sense of where, how the audience is going to be arranged, right? How they're going to, the sitting arrangement of the audience, where I'll be expected to do my presentation from. In certain instances, I'll even test out my presentation slides, right? So that I know how the audience is going to visually view my presentation slides as I'm giving my talk, right? But some of these, I guess, are things that you've probably discussed already in these other courses, especially 2034, because it turns out that you did do that in 2034. Which is why at the beginning of this presentation slides, at the beginning of the screencast and the lecture series number 4, we had that brief introduction to the research process. That was meant to remind us of what was covered in 2034. Classic scientific method there, right? Science is centered around you making an observation, performing a series of activities, and then you do a reporting. That series of activities involves a literature review, experimentation, artifact design and development in our case, right? All those different fancy things here. But then finally, I thought I'll just mention a thing, although I've already mentioned this part here, but a reminder that the proposal specification is clearly laid out. Details of when this thing is due are there. details of what sort of content is expected to be in the proposal is there, or the details have been provided. The breakdown, the rubric, the grading rubric has been explicitly stated. 60, is it 60, 30, 10 split? I think, or is it, yeah, 60, 10, 60, 10. 60, 30, 10, I think, if my memory serves me right. Let me just go here. Boom, yes. So 60, 30, 10. Right, so this should be fairly straightforward, which I guess is the reason why there are very few people present right now. This will soon come and bite you in the behind. It's coming very soon, right? If you're not taking this very seriously, I assure you it's coming back to you very, very soon, right? Okay, so I'm gonna pause now, right? That was a bit of a rant from my end here. I'm gonna pause and expect that people will ask questions. You want to ask questions because the proposal is due on the 26th. The document is due on the 26th. The slides are due on the 26th as well. All right, I'll pause now and expect that people ask questions.
All right, thank you, sir. My question was, why didn't we do the industry-wide proposal?
Well, because for one main reason, because we are part of what we're doing here is we are setting the stage for what's happening in 4014. That's one of the major motivating factors for doing this group-based proposal the way we've done it. But the other thing here is that if you look at the fundamental differences associated with what you'd expect to do in industry and what we're doing, it would be different, right? I mean, so it wouldn't really be that different. So you'd only be scrapping off things like research questions because you don't need that for an industry-wide type proposal. But everything else pretty much remains the same. It's the whole idea, the whole notion behind the proposal is you're trying to show people how you plan to, given the opportunity to work on the project, how you plan to work through the project. And specific things that people will be interested in seeing in that proposal would be things like the timeline, when you expect to deliver, how much you anticipate the project will cost. And this is tied to the resource component that you expected to include in the proposal. So that's the reason why we didn't do that. And really, traditionally, if you look at these other courses online, if you have been reading up online, this is the approach that's normally done, right? It turns out it's a lot easier to teach you these elementary things when you take this sort of approach, because you're combining so many different components also. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, all right, thank you, sir.
But this is interesting. This is an interesting thing here. Maybe what we can do is, suppose at some stage we can come up with just a short screencast to highlight how you would come up with an industry-wide proposal. In most of these things, right? Most of these instances, by the way, software engineering is all about these things they call case tools, by the way, computer-aided software engineering tools, and computer-aided software engineering tools. And so when it comes to these, some of these documents that we're going to be doing, you see a lot of templates being used. So once we get to the next stage, which is development of this requirements document, the specification document, what you realize is that the specification document is based on a well-established standard, actually. There is a standard, an IEEE standard that you use to follow through so that you include the relevant aspects into that document. Why am I saying this? Most industry-wide proposals would typically, you can typically come up with those things by just looking up a template that already exists online. Just filling in the blanks, really. Right, so you don't really have to worry so much about something. Or the thing to really hone here, the craft that you need to hone here, if you're interested in this part, is to understand the nature of content that is supposed to go into the proposal. The expectation when you're coming up with the proposal is, if you are specifying a timeline, people expect to say Gantt chart, by the way, whether you like it or not. So you must learn how to do that. People expect a work breakdown of the different activities associated with your the project. Whether it's an industry-wide proposal, whether it's a research-based proposal, they expect those things. in the industry-based proposal, people expect you to highlight risks associated with the proposal, how you plan to mitigate those risks. So risk management is going to be in there, right? So the format really, whether that format is going to take the form of this research-based proposal, whether it's going to be industry-wide proposal is irrelevant. What matters is the content. The same goes for this thing that we are doing, by the way, where we're saying, oh, use SCM format. It's just a template, right? We could just as well have said, well, in fact, maybe we should change our minds. We'll change our minds maybe and say, well, instead of SCM, use IEEE format. Yeah. And you notice that the differences with IEEE and SCM is usually just very minor. In all these instances, there are templates that are there. There will be templates that you can use to generate a requirement specification document. There will be a template for you to come up with, in this case, this is like a research report, right? There will be a template or guidelines on what sort of things you include in a design document. Do you understand this? I wonder if we should swap to IEEE. Wow, thank you, Hawkins, for bringing that. Maybe we should change the assignment, right? Oh, this would be nice. Now, yeah, this would be actually quite nice. Although the differences are minor, IEEE also uses square brackets to cite, observe. Can you see this? Right? IEEE also uses square brackets. There are minor differences like how you format the references. If you notice IEEE, for instance, the names, right? Observe names. IEEE versus SCM. You see what's happening with SCM? Names are in full. But for IEEE, names are in full. But for IEEE, names are abbreviated. I guess first names are abbreviated, yeah? K. Elisa, R. Nicole. There's nothing to the way we're doing it. You just have to learn how to use tools and how to follow the rules, right? Guidelines and rules, standards. There's a lot more standards coming our way. Actually, once we start our discussion of UML models, that's when more standards will come through, right? So how you develop artifacts. Turns out that artifacts have to be developed in a certain way. You just don't dream about them. Okay. Any other, was I asking questions or I don't know. Yeah, any other questions, guys?
I have a question.
Please.
Hello. Okay, my question is realizing how this proposal looks huge from what we are supposed to do according to what you have said. So my question is, why have you allocated so much little time? In 2 weeks, we do the myth, we do literature review, we do everything that you're supposed to do for the proposal, and we make a paper. And then in the same 2 weeks again, we make a presentation.
Yes, I know where this is coming from, and I know where you're going with this. There will be no extension. I know. In fact, listen,
okay, so let me make my point.
Okay, fine, make your point. Yes.
Okay, yes. You see, this e-learning, I know maybe you are not having any challenge with it, but us, we are not meeting face to face. We're having a lot of challenges, just having simple discussions for a simple task like the one we are having this week. So now looking at this big task like a proposal in 2 weeks, there's so much to do, and others are even less than how many they were in the group because of maybe power challenges, or maybe their friends are no longer in touch because of the places where they have gone. So maybe they're even working alone. I'm sure you have observed that. It's not because they like working alone, because they are alone now.
I've not observed that phrase.
Okay, but my point is, this task is too much for 2 weeks. We have normal assignments for a month, like just a plain assignment where we just have to write stuff just for 3 pages. But this is something where you have to put in everything so that you make something something that will look presentable. For 2 weeks, it's just too little, especially that we are doing online learning. Unless if we are in school, the environment was going to help us. But we are home.
Fallacies,
There are a lot of
fallacies,
challenges
fallacies.
we are facing apart from learning. So just
You
consider it.
actually,
I know you
yeah,
have your own schedule, you are running,
you're actually very right,
you are
Royce.
busy, you have to catch up, but this is killing us, it's not helping us.
Very brilliant. Oh, this is excellent, Royce. Thank you for raising all those wonderful points. My God, I didn't even think of that myself. I wonder why. Thank you
Yeah,
for
so
that. Brilliant.
that's
There
a
will be no
very good
extension.
point. And
This assignment that you're talking about. Are you writing with 5 other people, Royce? Are you writing it with 5 other people?
Me, yes, I'm in touch with 5 other people.
No. I'm asking
But
about this
we still have
because
challenges we are
you're
facing.
raising these fallacies that you are raising, red herrings, by the way. You're saying these normal assignments were given, blah, 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 blah. Are you writing those normal assignments you're talking about are you writing them, the 5 of you?
No, it's
If you
just
if you don't have a response to that question, I will again draw you back to a discussion, a very important discussion we had not too long ago. There's a reason why we're covering this content. In real life, Royce, you will find these challenges and problems. I have worked on projects where you are midway through and people just quit because they can't take it. They cannot
and you know,
manage
when
to
you're
do that.
working alone, something is fast.
People
You do
die.
it faster.
No, yeah, that's the thing. But in real life, Royce, there are very little things that you're going to do alone, very little things of value that you're going to do alone. This is what we're trying to teach you in this course, by the way. How to work as part of the group. How to manage people that are not contributing their equal share of the project. You have to decide. I've worked on projects where people have been politely told, leave the group because you're not contributing positively. I've worked on projects where people have resigned and they've moved on in life, they've gone elsewhere. You have to find a workaround. I am interacting with people at work online that are unable to engage with me as effectively as I would hope myself. I have to find a workaround. Right? So I know where this is coming from. The excuse is not valid, right? Nobody forced you to choose the incompetent people that you're working with. If they are incompetent, I'm not saying they're incompetent, by the way, Royce. Whatever challenges they're experiencing, you were given the opportunity to choose who you wanted to work with. And at 3rd year, this is a lesson for you, by the way, because at 4th year, there's something even more serious that's coming your way. At 4th year, you must choose wisely. I know for a fact that you know people that are hardworking. By 3rd year, you know yourselves in class. It's a small class. It's a class of what? Less than 100 people. You know the individuals that lays around. You know the individuals that work really hard. You know the individuals that are committed. And by the way, when we're talking about people management, we raised an important issue of you identifying all those different traits. They're important, right? It turns out that a hardworking person might not necessarily be enough. You might need someone who is a part of your group who is going to motivate the rest of the people to do the work. Someone who is
Okay,
good
sir,
at
I get
managing
your
the
point.
group. So yes, thank you very much. There will be no
Okay,
extension.
I get your point. Can I
Okay.
say something back?
Yes.
Yes. I have heard everything I've said, but then this is school. I know you're preparing us for the real world, but this is school, and you're the one who was saying that a lot of us are going to fail. Why? Because when this course was
Sorry.
prepared,
Did I say a lot of you are going to fail? I'm sorry if I said that.
you've
I
been
do
mentioning
apologize.
that you're saying you're
I
lazy,
do
you
apologize
haven't
if I
even
said
yet
that.
started the
Here's
other
what I'm
thing.
saying. Before we continue, right? Sorry to cut you short. Simple, could you shut down the mic? Could you shut down the mic? Simple, please. Let me rephrase this, and I know this is being recorded. So Lighton is going to switch on his mic so that he's recorded as he's saying this. Lighton is rephrasing his statement. I'm not saying a lot of you are going to fail. Those of you that are not taking this very seriously are going to fail. Because I'll tell you, I've done this course as a student. I have taught this course elsewhere. I have managed people that work as groups elsewhere. I understand the problems that people go through. This year alone, I am working with 2 groups of final year students that are working on their capstone project. I see these challenges year in, year out, right? If you don't take this seriously, but in fact, in life, right? In life, if you don't take anything seriously, bad things happen. If you lead a reckless life, bad things are likely to happen to you. If you do not study for this course, I'm rephrasing what I said. I'm sorry if I said most of you are going to fail. If you don't take this seriously, it's likely that you're not going to perform as well as you should be. And really, it's not just about failing here. You have to look at the bigger picture. It's about getting a good mark, because a good mark directly influences the GPA that you're going to get at the end of this. When you're looking for a job,
Yes, we want to
the
learn,
thing
but
that
then
sets
if we
you
do it
apart
fast,
is the final grade that you get. Yeah. So I've rephrased what I said. I'm not saying most of you are going to fail. I'm saying the people that are not taking this very seriously are likely going to fail. And I was saying this because I've been keeping track of what people are doing. Very few people are actually accessing the resources. I hope I've answered your question. There will be no extension. The deadline is on June 26th, unless if you give me a good enough justification for why you want this to be extended.
But what I've told you is real. I know you can't fit. I know you can't understand this situation. We understand.
You've said a lot of things. What is real?
What I'm
is
telling
real
you is real.
What exactly?
The e-learning stuff is a challenge to some of us. Bundles, we have to buy bundles every day. I have a lot of courses. For each course, we have to accommodate. And then we have to learn with lecturers, and then we have to meet with our friends and use bundles, you know, discussions. They take a lot of time just discussing. For 5 hours, you're on Slack, you're having a discussion, you're using bundles. We are not getting BC from home. We're having a lot of challenges. So you should think about all those things. I know maybe you can't understand, maybe, you know, people grow
I
up
think you raise important points,
anyway.
Royce, actually. Yeah, you're right, actually. By the way, surprise, surprise, we did think about this. Under normal circumstances, the deadline for the proposal, it's a short document, the deadline for the proposal is going to be far less than it is right now. If we were doing it face-to-face, it was probably going to be shorter than this. We've taken that into account. We have
2 weeks.
I'm sorry?
2 weeks, sir, is just too little. Think about it. Okay, anyway, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments? These are interesting conversations to have. We're having a discussion here. If you have other comments, suggestions to raise, please tell us.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Peter.
Yes, Peter.
You said you are looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture I understand is to make sure that we understand this thing. It's not all about us passing the course. And when we complain about the time limit, you know, there are challenges. The challenges are real. And if we just get at meeting the deadline, chances are some of us may make it within that period, but the chances of understanding, because the issue here is understanding what we are doing so that we are ready for the outside world. It's not all about passing the course. So when we raise the concern to say, please, sir, listen to us, we really expect you to have a bit of lenience on us, also considering the challenges we are going through. Because it's not all about us meeting the deadline, it's about understanding this thing. Because even you, sir, at the end of the day, you won't find it a joy to find that, yes, we cleared the course, but we are failing to perform in the outside world. So I don't know, but the challenges we are facing are real. You find that in a group, you're 5.
I see someone is just saying, yes, Peter, agreeing with that. You know, you can't save them all in life, right? You can't. I'll tell you one thing. I know for a fact that the vast majority of you are not just taking this seriously. I know this. I know this because in the sideline, some of your group team members have reached out to me to tell me that there are people that are just not reciprocating. So if you think that lazing around is going to give you a passport and Lighton is going to be lenient because he wants people to pass the course, I am sorry, right? These things are audited, by the way. There are people that are co-opted from out there to come and see what was being done. And I would like to think that I'm actually going over and beyond here, by the way, looking at how the sort of content I'm delivering. I always try to do that. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here, but maybe I am. I think I am actually. Yes, this is me flexing here right now. I go over and beyond to try and guide you. If you've noticed from first year, if those of you that have interacted with me, I always try and link what we are doing to what you're going to find in industry, and you will find these things in industry. Granted, I mean, for those of you that are probably going to find yourselves maybe teaching, I might not be the best person to give you pointers on what you're going to find there, right? But I go out of my way to do that. If you are not willing to put in the effort, and if you expect that someone is just going to look down upon you with pity and give you free marks, you are mistaken, right? It's not going to happen with me. I do not do that. I give credit where it's due. If you haven't been serious with this, you better pull up your socks. You still have time to do that, and you better take this very seriously. Because again, I'm not saying you will fail, but the same thing that happened in 2034 is likely to happen in this course if you do not take this very seriously. You should take this very seriously, by the way. I would if I were you. I would if I were you, because there are people that are paying the vast majority of you so that you can be at UNZA in the first place. It's not a secret that almost 90% of the class is funded by the government. We all know this, right? Do you know why this is the case? Because what you're studying is considered an integral part of our society. It's so important that some courses, some programs have been sacrificed. If you look at the School of Education, there are only a few select programs that have the sort of funding associated with students that the people pursuing the BICT with education have. But you don't get this, do you? You don't get the fact that there are people like Lighton. I'm a taxpayer here. I pay money so that people like you can go to school. If you don't take this seriously, that's your own fault, right? 5 people working on an 8-page document, and you're telling me that, oh, the time given is not enough. A bunch of jokers, right? I do hope you put to practice the things that are being taught to you, the things that we discussed under people management. I highly encourage you to revisit that lecture series, because that lecture series will help you understand how to manage people. You better learn how to manage people, because once you leave UNZA, you will be working with people, whether you like it or not. Unless if you're going to become a hermit or something, live alone in the forest or something, right? You will work with people. I work with people, and I have to struggle with the same things you're struggling with right now. Someone just switches off their phone, right? You call them and they've switched off their phone. There's something that's due. There's a serious document that's due, and somebody has switched off their phone, right? What do you do then? You sit back and you start complaining. You reach out to, if it's a bid, you reach out to the person you're bidding to and tell them, could you please give us an extension on the bid? Nobody will take you seriously. No one will ever take you seriously if you do that. You come up with a workaround, even if it means working like crazy. At the very least, what will happen is you will learn the painful lesson of making sure that you properly select the people you interact with in life. Very important.
We hear you, sir.
Your friends' wife.
We hear you, sir. And we
Okay, thank you
appreciate
very much. Are there any other concerns? If you give me a good enough justification for why there should be an extension, we will consider an extension, but not these petty things you're raising here. If it was a one-man project, we probably would have extended the deadline, but not where you have 5 people working on a project. This is a joke. 5 people working on an 8-page document, and you're saying the time you have is not enough. Really? Really?
So I have a comment.
Yes.
So before I begin, I'll just say I'm not asking for an extension personally.
Okay. Okay.
It's just
Thank you very
comment.
much. Finally, there's a sane mind here.
I mean, I don't know if one is needed or not. I'm just saying I'm not asking for one personally. You. Okay, so but I just wanted to raise this comment, and it's, well, I have a, to be honest, I have a slight problem with how you approach how you conduct your what can I say? I want to be very civil. I have a problem with how you encourage the class. Well, it's not very encouraging. Is what basically what I want to say.
Could you give us an example of what part is not very encouraging? Thank you for the feedback. This is good feedback.
It's just how you interact with us and how you, well, you're very demeaning, I would say. Like you kind of put people down. Like you
give me an example of how I maybe put you down.
You just called everyone like a bunch of jokers and like how
well, I
everyone
guess maybe my poor choice of phrase. I guess maybe I should use more formal grammar.
The words are also the problem, but I think you could
I
do a lot better.
I mean, it will take a long time for me to change that, to change how and this comes up a lot normally. So the students that I work with at fourth year, by the way, it's a long story here to answer your question, pause for a little while. But every year, the students that I work with, we have this end of year party, and I have them vent, right? I tell them, I mean, it's done, the capstone project is done. We are parting ways as friends. Tell me, what aspects did you not like about my interaction with you? And they'll tell me this. And at some stage, right, the people that I interact with the most, at some stage, maybe midway through, they'll figure out that this is a sort of personality I have, right? I tell it like it is. I tell it like it is because it is true, by the way.
No,
I tell it like it is. There's no way you can have a class
no
of
one's denying
the
truth
and
of
only
the word.
9 people are seriously engaging with the course. I'm not calling the whole class a joke. I'm calling the people that are not consuming the resources jokers because they're not taking it seriously.
Look, no one's going to deny that if you don't work hard, you don't get anything. That's fine. I think you know, there's many ways you can deliver the truth without hurting people more than necessary. And,
okay, very well.
I feel like, you know, what you ask us to do is possible, sure. But if you just approached it a little bit better, like if you were even like, you know, a little encouraging, like, okay, yes, it's 2 weeks, but you know, I have faith in you guys. At least, like, if you work hard, these things would be possible. But most of the time, you're telling everyone you're gonna fail. Like that's mostly your message most of the time.
Point noted, Mwewa. Here's the thing. For those of you interested, you probably want to mask out the part where I was saying that. I'll rephrase this, right? And I'm being sarcastic here, but here's the thing. Maybe this would be more encouraging. Restart from this comment, right? Oh, you are performing really well, all of you. The engagement in the course is exemplary. You shall perform. You'll be, in fact, the entire class will perform really well. When you leave UNZA, you get out of UNZA with the skill set that you need for you to have an impact in society. If you want me to say that, I will say that. But it's not true. I always tell it like it is. And those of you that interacted with me over the vacation, this is what I am, right? I tell it like it is. I tell you the truth. If you're messing up, I will tell you that you mess up. Because the idea of doing that at this age, if it was a toddler, I mean, if it was a 7-year-old, yes, maybe, right? But for a mature adult, my thinking is that it will help you think. Think about what's happening. Think about how best you can improve. Now, and I know, right? Our culture is like that. And I'm glad that I guess I evolved into a sort of person who has a completely different value system. Our culture is like that. You mess up. I've sat in presentations, right? Someone is doing a Viva Voce, a final presentation at Masters. You can literally see that what they're presenting is just stuff that is not worth presenting at that level, right? But at the end of it, and people are giving praise. Why not? Or maybe not at the Viva Voce, but maybe at proposal stage. Why not be honest with that person so that they improve? The only way you'll be able to learn is if someone points out the mistakes that you're making. And in fact, in life, right, the best approach is to learn from the mistakes of others. If I were you, I'd actually aim to do that, actually. I would be lying, to answer your question, I would be lying if I said I will change. Personality change requires quite a bit of time, but I will keep that in mind, and then I'll try and see if I can maybe replace certain words like jokers, right, with more, maybe I guess less demeaning phrases, as you put it. I hope that helps answer your question. Anyway, I'll try and change.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
But I'll try and change. But I firmly believe, and this is how I interact with my siblings. And maybe that's why they don't normally visit me, right? Because I always tell them the truth. I tell them, right? The people The people that tell you the truth about when you're messing up are your true friends, by the way. Not the people that will give you a pat in the back when they can see that you're really regressing in life. I'm just telling you the truth, right? Here's the thing, if you're not reading the resources, and I can see that most people are not reading, what help is it going to be if I come here and I start telling you, oh guys, you know what? I'm really happy with how you're performing. I think the entire class here is performing really, really well. I believe in actually being honest with you and telling you the areas where you're messing up. If you've been paying attention, this is probably the fourth time I'm mentioning the fact that very few people are engaging with the course. Forget the screencast if it's too much for you. If you think you need a lot of data bundles for you to be able to download the screencast, but the lecture slides. Those kilobytes worth of lecture slides, kilobytes worth of supplementary material.
Excuse me, sir. I also have a concern here.
Yeah. So I hope I've helped address Mwewa's question. But yes, Roy.
Oh, okay. So I think my problem is I don't really understand how you flame your time when it comes to giving us the date when we're supposed to finish. Because looking at the number of people that are active right now, it's like it's just 16 out of the entire class. And
yeah, but do you know why? Do you know why it's 16? By the way, Roy.
I'm still going, so maybe you might allow me to finish up.
Yeah, sorry, if I can just pause you for a little while, you can continue after. But you know why it's 16 right now?
That's the one I want to give you my opinion before you,
okay.
You give me. Yes.
Okay.
So with me, I don't think somebody would be willing just to miss out your class, especially with the experience that we have had with you, and just to decide to lazy around like you normally put it, because it's like if somebody's active, then they are serious. If they are not, they're not serious. I think for me, I don't think that is right. So if you are looking at people from that perspective, that is maybe the more reason you wouldn't be able to listen to us when we cry for an extension, because some of us, maybe even a lot, we are having these things for the first time. So if you put it with your experience, then we are really in so much trouble that we cannot even bear. So I don't know if we're working for a GPA or we're working for us to understand. I think it's for us to understand. We might need a little more time, but if it is for the GPA, really, then we'll have to bear for a rush. That is my concern.
Yeah, thanks for that. I don't know if people have given you a lecture on this. I don't know if I did in first year. You probably want to look up the reason for why people are imparted with university education. So the GPA. There's a difference between someone who's doing a diploma and someone who's doing a degree, by the way. You're being carved out into a person who is able to think. Forget the GPA. Think. Let that sink in, right? Now, back to the issue of being active here. There's a method to the madness. At some point, I asked you, the entire class, could you give me details of where you are, whether you have access to the internet, whether you have access to a device? It is precisely that reason that I decided not to have live lectures with you, but instead I give you time, enough time to consume the resources. And it turns out that what I've discovered, at least based on the statistics that I've been getting from my colleagues, that part of the reason why perhaps you have 16 people out of the 70 odd, I guess almost 70 individuals, is because people have the opportunity to consume these things at their own time. This thing is going to be recorded. Someone will consume it later on. Right? So, but of course, I'm speculating here. I have no idea why people don't want to attend this class. And really, my philosophy when it comes to teaching, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again in case people have forgotten. My philosophy is I believe in giving people the opportunity to want to learn if they want to, but to remind them that there are repercussions in life, right? So if you don't want to attend my class, for whatever reason, maybe you don't like my lecture style, it happens, right? I was taught by such lecturers myself, although I always tried as much as possible to attend classes myself, right? Because it turns out that any interaction that I have had in life, I learned something from there. I learn something new when I interact with you guys, right? But anyway, so I don't force people. That's my philosophy. People should want to learn, right? But people should be smart enough. And I would like to think the vast majority of you are smart. The only way you'd have made it to UNZA is if you're smart, right? Or maybe intelligent enough, not smart. Smart and intelligent is different here. But I'd like to think that you're intelligent enough to know what will happen if you don't wait. I mean, there are people in class, right? There are people in class that have just switched off. There are people in class when we had those face-to-face interactions, they never bothered to work towards those simple things, simple tasks that I asked you guys to do. Yeah, so anyways, the other thing I wanted to comment is, do not misquote me or misrepresent me, Royd. I am not saying that the person who's not attending these live interactions is not serious. I'm saying the person who's not consuming the materials being uploaded onto Moodle is not serious. Because I understand that at 17, this is 1815, at 1815, there's probably someone out there who is enrolled into this course who has no power at home. They don't have money for bundles. I understand this. But something else I hope, I expect, at least it's something that I hope some of you will be able to do, is at a later stage, you'll be able to come up with these bundles so that you download the materials, play them back, so that you understand what is being discussed. That is the only way you'll be able to follow through with the course. That is the only way you'll be able to learn. I'm not saying that only the 16 people that are currently logged on to Google Meet are serious. Do not misrepresent me. I did not say that. I have never said that. I understand because I did that survey. I know that Trines is in an environment where she has no internet access, for instance, which is why I almost always don't see her online. Do you understand this? Are there any other questions or concerns? I don't want to eat up a lot of your bundles. This is already 1816. Are there any concerns, questions, comments? A good enough reason for why you want an extension. That is what I want. A good enough reason for why you want an extension. Don't give me petty reasons saying, no, people are not working. Make them work.
Actually, so, hello?
Yes?
Yeah, I have a comment, and then I don't know how this is going to be, but I think there's no problem with you, sir. It's not like I'm trying to say this to make everybody see that I don't know how they're going to take it, but the thing is, I've never seen an hardworking Rachel like you before, because you put everything in order. Like for people with no bundles, you cater for them and everything like that. So I don't understand why these people are saying, okay, you might say some ways that could really help them and stuff, but they're not really that big of an issue. I don't know. But if we could really just like, break the mentality of laziness and somehow work together, a lot of things can be done, because it's more like you're trying to make us just like you, and then we're trying to resist, which is a bit weird. I don't know.
Well, actually, my goal, by the way, sorry to cut you short, my goal is to, and the goal of every lecturer, everyone who stands in front of you, the goal is to make you be better than me. And this is what should happen. A whole bunch of you in here, very, very soon, are going to be important people in society. Like it or not, this is life, this is how it is, right? And there are people that I work with that will say, oh no, some high-profile individual in the ministry was their student. This is how life works. I'm trying to make you into a better person than I am. Now, granted, I mean, some of you probably pursue different career paths than I did, but in the event that you want to, I guess, go down the rabbit hole I did, I want you to be better than me. I want you to contribute positively to society, because this is what society expects. Actually, I don't know if society expects this really, but well, some segment of society expects this, right? This is what I expect. So it's quite sad, really. I actually feel much better, by the way, Slim. Thank you, Slim Shady. Thank you for that. I feel much better now. I was in a different state of mind there, right? I don't know if it's not cloud 9, or it's probably the opposite of cloud 9 here, but but this is I've lost my train of thought here. But But this is the thing here, and I'm sorry that things have to be the way they are here, right? And really, and turns out I'm not person who's perfect. I don't think I'm perfect. I know that there are characters in there that don't like me, and that's fine. There are a lot of people in real life that have never liked me for whatever reason. I've been in environments where someone just has not bothered to engage with me, but they just don't like me. That's fine. That's life, right? That is not my goal. My goal is not to make you like me. That has never been my goal, right? My goal is to do what I'm paid to do. I am paid to impart knowledge, and that's precisely what I'm going to do, right? Now, on the issue of going out of my way here, I have colleagues that normally tell me, no, you're still in the honeymoon phase, right? Or maybe, right? I'm less than 3 years old at UNZA. Maybe eventually I'll slack and become, you know, a sort of person who just does the bare minimum. But I always try, right? I'm trying to make you into a better person. I want you to be successful in life. If your goal is to make money by pursuing a career in IT, I want you to be able to do that. And the only way you'll be able to do that is if you do the right thing. And if you pick up some of these skills, right? Programming, software engineering, networking, when you discuss networking. Well, if you want to do the bare minimum in life, that's fine also. You will probably do the bare minimum. You will graduate. You'll probably apply for a job, and, you know, that's also fine, I guess. It's apparently the people that do that are the happiest in life. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm happy myself. I'm happy that the effort I put in to go out of my way in life, right? I deferred gratification. I worked really hard. I worked my butt off when I was a student, right? And it paid off, really. It paid off because, and this is me now being on a pedestal again. I see there's 216 of you. Paid off because I have the freedom to choose what I want to do in life. I chose to teach. If I had decided, I could have chosen to do what some of my highly paid peers are doing, right? By the way, I'm probably the least paid person from my class of 12. It was 12 of us at UNZA. I am likely the least paid. But I do that because I chose, right? I have choices. And I want you to have choices in life. You will only be able to have choices in life if you work hard. If you don't work hard, you will only pick up on other people's scrap. You will only have access to what's being handed down to you. Now, if that's what you want, that's also fine. But here's the thing. I would like one of you to give me a good enough reason why you need an extension, not the reasons that you have given me. If you want an extension, if you think the 26th of June is not good enough, give me a good reason and I will give you an extension. If you don't have a reason right now, think about it. Write to me personally if you want to, or write to the entire mailing list, and then we can have a conversation. We can extend this, but I want good enough reasons, and possibly reasons that are tied to ideas that we've discussed in this previous lecture series. Ideas specifically centered around managing people. You must learn how to manage people. I have learned how to manage people myself. Yes.
Like for me, I'm not asking for an extension. I'm just speaking out for the people. Maybe the pace of understanding, each individual has got his own pace of understanding. Probably some, they won't understand it now, but they understand it maybe after they go through several times. So perhaps maybe that's why they are asking for an extension. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. That's an interesting thought here. But understanding what exactly?
Actually, understanding the process of writing the proposal, perhaps, maybe.
Okay. But the only way you would understand, most nephews, you agree with me, the only way you understand is if you actually study something in this case, right? Now, if people are not even reading, how are they going to understand? When are they going to understand? Here's the thing. If you don't understand right now, if you're not reading right now, we'll give you an extension. 1 week. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm doing this because you don't want to come up with a reason. Here's the thing. I have extended the proposal by a week. Let's see what sort of reason you're going to come up with now, because the reasons will come. I will extend it. I have extended the proposal by a week. The proposal deadline is now July 3rd. You will see the result. The result is not going to change if people don't change. Here's the thing. We will extend this. Let's see what's going to happen now. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Procrastination. Procrastination. You should look up the procrastination monster, right? You should look up what they call the procrastination milestone. It will come back. I've extended this. I know exactly what will happen. You will start procrastinating because it's given us I've done this. I've even I guess a cut-off date. Let's see what's going to happen now. This is going to be a good enough experiment. Actually, I'll tell you what's going to happen. No change. What, you think an extension of 1 week is not good enough?
Thank you, sir.
No, it's a question. Do you think that an extension of what extension do you want?
I think 1 week is enough for us.
Okay. Is there anyone who thinks 1 week maybe is not enough? Catherine Gondwe, is 1 week enough for you and your group?
But sir,
Catherine Gondwe, she left, right?
Yes.
She always leaves when I put on the spot. Okay, yes, move, sir.
Sir, like,
I don't know what he was saying. He just a thing here. The females in the room. Mary, is 1 week enough for you and your group? And I know you're part of Master Nkata and Mwanaumo and the rest, but Mtinta, is 1 week going to be enough for your group?
No.
How much time do you need?
1 week we can try, but I think
How much time do you need? You're saying no. Why, how much time do you need?
another extra 2 weeks.
What, so that it goes to 3 weeks?
Yes.
What? For an 8-page document? Okay, that's Mtinta. And where is this 3 weeks coming from? How have you come up with this 3 weeks extension?
Well, it was just a random question, so I also just thought of 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's fine, but there has to be a reason why you're thinking of 2 weeks, though.
Okay, because the other two, because now there's just me and Peter online, and it's been difficult to communicate with the other two guys. So I was hoping this week, because now it means me and Peter will be working on both the assignment, the proposal, and the other assignment that is due tomorrow.
Okay, thanks for the feedback. Hawkins, how much time do you need with your group?
Sir, I guess you said, when is it due? Third?
No, it's currently I haven't adjusted the date, but I was saying I'll give 1 week extension, and then I paused and I asked, is 1 week going to be enough, right? Musa says, yes, 1 week is fine. I'm asking you, for your group, how much time, how much extra time do you need for you to submit a good enough proposal?
Yeah, so if you are not add another week, just a week.
So how much extra time from the current deadline is the 26th? How much extra time do you need?
Add 2, sir. We have other courses. I've got a lot of assignments.
Yeah, well, but you're 5 of you working on this thing here. Mwewa, how much time do you need with your group?
I never asked for an extension.
Okay, so no extension. That's good. Mulima, how much time do you need with your group?
Just like Hawkins said, sir, 2 weeks.
Okay. Victor, how much time do you need with your group? I see Royce has left. No answer there. Okay.
I think that's fine.
Sorry?
I think a week is just fine. I'm sure.
Okay, so
okay.
I got a whole bunch of, now my approach is always systematic. I don't know if I should do this, but if we're saying 3 + 1 + 2, right? Then by 4. I'll give us 1.5 weeks. Okay, we extended 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. Let's see what will happen then. I'll give you 2 weeks. But the thing is, even if you're given 2 weeks, very soon, there's another assignment where you have to write an SRS, right? Software requirement specification document. Now, I don't know what you're going to do then, but fine, it's going to be 2 weeks then. So 3rd, then this thing is due on the 10th of July. Are there any other questions? I'll tell you this. If you have not managed to convince people to work, and if you think that, and here's the thing, right? This is a sign that you're not learning. If you think that I've extended the deadline, and I'll send an email for those that are not online. If you think that adding more time to a project would help you, in most instances, it doesn't actually. It just complicates things. And you'd appreciate this if you've been reading up on the things that we've been discussing. Are there any other random questions you want? Concerns? I was expecting questions to do with the content, but we ended up discussing administrivia to do with the assignment. Any other random questions? By the way, I have an ALB as you're thinking about other questions. The ALB was to do with, one of the reasons why I sort of like disappeared slightly was twofold. I'm experimenting with time here, but of course time is not on our hands because clearly some other courses, I was looking at statistics, some other courses have actually gone well ahead than our course, right? So I paused for a little while. There was a time when I went silent, right? And the reason I went silent is I was trying to give people an opportunity to just catch up. The other reason I went silent is because the way that this course has been structured is so that the other complementary courses feed into it. Now, because I don't have control over that, clearly I've seen I have no control over that, we've shifted things around again. So we're not going to do the topics in the revised order. We've had to revise the order again. So for instance, configuration management has been pushed, right, elsewhere. So I was hoping that after we sort of like pause for a little while, maybe people would catch up. But to cut the long story short here, next lecture series is, if you check the calendar, you'll notice that the next lecture series, which is requirements engineering, starts in the week of 22 or 22nd of June. So after next week, expect a batch of lecture series. I'm giving you time to work on the proposal. So on days where you're supposed to have class and consuming the lecture series, work on the proposal. Week after that, we start our discussion of requirements engineering. All right, so if there are no questions, I guess I'll exit now. We've been at it for more than an hour now. Unless if you have any random questions, I'll leave you to your discussion afterwards. Can I leave? Any questions, concerns, comments? No? No answer. Bye-bye, thanks. Yes?
Hello?
Yes? I thought Peter was about to say something. I don't know if that was Peter or Moses or something.
He has even left.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure you can share his thoughts via email or something. Thank you, and take care, stay safe, work hard.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Guys, what date did this extend? Mlima. Mlima.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, guys, let's talk about
Moses, you should have wanted Chinese phone. Because you.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Moses.
Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah, Padip.
Mr. Lighton is a hardworking lecturer, but now you see the problem. The comments that you usually use, you see?
Number I can speak a second time because my learning is a language.
No, it's not the only course. That's the thing.
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
Yeah,
the problem is that, okay, quite all right, yes, he is a very hardworking and he wants us to be better than him. But now he doesn't understand what we go through. And when you try to explain to him, he's saying you are a joker.
Anyways,
Yes, you see, I was just coming in, like what I was what I was explaining the other day. Then he responded like, "No, Moses, you're just a joker. You play around."
Anyways, we'll discuss in the group. This is the
Okay, guys.
All right.
All right, bye.